To order the Charter Review Committee meeting. Oh yes, got a gavel. For January 5th, 2006. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. We'll now have a roll call.
Grace Reed.
Here.
Jeannie Hill. Here. Charles Stadelman is not here. Bill Flynn. Here. Scott Liebetor. Here. Richard Gilmore. Here. Vicki Drumheller. Here. Tim Borden.
Here.
He's
One
on-
more time there, Tim, please.
On Zoom.
Here. I'm here.
You hear him? Okay. Sharon Herman. Here. Susan LaRusso. Here. Felicia Hollerman. Here. Wanda Simmons. Here. Nicholas Shaskowski. Here. David Moore. Here. And Tigpreet Sine.
A longer list than you're used to, isn't it? All right. Well, on behalf of myself and our city manager and our interim city clerk, thank you for participating in this. This is obviously a very important function. I'm getting things started now just because we don't have a chair, and as you've seen from the agenda, one of you lucky people will get to take over here in a minute. So, but the first item is kind of going over an overview. And I understand some of you did this the last time we had this go around, so some of you are familiar, and even if you weren't on it then, I'm sure you're familiar with the way this works. But basically, a city charter is our city's version of the Constitution. I mean, when we know on the state level and the federal level, we have a whole bunch of laws and regulations in place, but they all have to be judged against the Constitution. The Constitution sets the standard for what can be done and what can't be done, what's legal and what's not legal, and everything else. So everything else that's done needs to comport with the Constitution. In this, we will have a referendum, and they will get to decide whether the charter stays the way it is or whether it changes. But you know, in order to put those changes forward, we need to come up with those proposals to put out to the voters, and that's where you come in. We're going to go through the charter line by line, section by section, page by page, from one cover to the end, and have an opportunity to discuss everything. Discuss what works, what doesn't work, and what needs changing, what can stay the same. When that's all done, this committee will be responsible for formulating recommendations that then go to the city council. They then discuss it, and they ultimately decide which of those recommendations will go to the voters and which they don't have to accept the recommendations that this committee makes. It's the way the structure is set up. And that's not just the structure, and you were all given a copy of the current charter. It's not just the structure of the charter, but that's in state law as to how a charter is amended. It's ultimately the decision of the elected body to decide what goes out to the voters to decide on. And they can come up with their own ideas. I've never seen that done in any cities, but it sometimes happens where, the council may say, well, they didn't touch on this, they didn't touch on that. Usually what will happen is if certain council members, any council members, have something they want to see, they'll usually get that information either to staff or to you, and they can talk to you. We're going to talk a lot about the Sunshine Law and all that, but council members can talk to you, and they might have suggestions. They might say, hey, have you guys thought about doing this? Have you thought about this section or whatever? So we'll come up with those recommendations, but it is tricky, and obviously the language needs to be in the proper legislative style of language and cover what it's supposed to cover without creating unintended consequences. So the best way to handle this is for us to talk about these sections in concept. Like you might say, okay, well, whatever, section 12, it allows this, but we really think it should say this, or it should include this, or this idea, or this concept. After that full discussion and a consensus that that's what everyone wants to see, I will then work on actually drafting the language, and that'll come back to you at the next meeting, and then you can look at it, and ultimately it's your say, so you can say, well, we like what you wrote, so yeah, let's go with that. Or you might say, well, no, you didn't quite hit what we were trying to do, and so forth. So it's a very collaborative effort. It's one of the reasons we're set up like this. Obviously, there's not room for 15 up there, but even if there was, it serves no purpose for you guys all to be sitting in a straight line. This is a collaborative effort, and so we thought having the table set like this where we can all see each other as we discuss these items and decide, what we want to see changed, or maybe what's working and doesn't need to be changed. So the other things that I wanted to touch on is, obviously, all of our meetings have to be public meetings. So there will be a posted agenda. It will be on the website. It will be in the lobby here. Every time we have a meeting, the agenda will be posted. It'll be streamed like all the public meetings are streamed. But that also implicates certain other things as far as public participation, and then also the Sunshine Law. The fact that this is a public body now, you guys are all governed by the Sunshine Law, and I know you all know what that is roughly, but basically it's that you cannot discuss outside of a public meeting. You cannot discuss the business of this committee with any of your other members. You can discuss it with other people. You can talk about family. You can talk, citizens. You see people. You have friends, people who live here in town and whatever, and you want to talk about things. You can, just not to each other, because anything that you guys discuss as fellow members of this committee has to be done publicly, and so. It's just something to be aware of, and it takes some getting used to. I mean, you can talk to each other, and this is one of the things, and I get this from elected officials a lot of times too. It's like, can we talk to each other? Well, you can talk to each other about anything. You can talk to each other about, how the Dolphins are playing, or that you're going skydiving this weekend, or you're going fishing, or what. You can talk about anything. You just can't talk about anything. The way the law is written is anything that may come before you for a vote. And how that's defined is pretty broad, so you're better off just not talking charter, okay? I was an assistant city attorney down in Broward County, one of the cities down there, and that city contracted law enforcement services with the sheriff's department. Big mistake, by the way. Every place I've been, I've always warned against that, but some cities do that. They think it's some sort of panacea that it's not. Anyway, the sheriff at the time, and this was a few sheriffs ago, used to make a habit of meeting with his city councils in his contract cities like once a year to kind of go over things, basically tooting his own horn, but kind of go over things, burglaries are down, petty thefts are up just a little bit, but we've got it under control, whatever it might be. Well, the sheriff met with our city council. City attorney's office didn't know anything about it. My boss was quite upset when he found out about it. But met with the city council to talk about their performance. It got reported to the press. Story came out about it. The state attorney found out about it. Ended up charging all of the council members, and his theory was the sheriff's contract was coming up for renewal in 8 months. Council members should have known that renewal would be coming up, and the performance of the sheriff's department was obviously going to hinge on whether their contract was renewed or not. So he ended up charging them, and yet the council members like, we weren't talking about anything that was going to come on to a vote. We were just talking about how law enforcement services were going in the city. State attorney had a different view on it. They said, no, contract was coming up for renewal. So it can be interpreted very broadly. So you're better off just not talking charter. If you see each other, just don't talk charter. You'll be safe then. Beyond that, If you take notes, by the way, your own personal notes are, and that's always a big question, whether your personal notes become a public record or not. The Attorney General has opined numerous times that your personal notes that you make to, remember things and to make comments and all that don't become public records. So you don't have to worry about that. So feel free to take notes. We gave each of you a booklet like this. What we did here for you to be able to work, kind of a workbook. This has the charter, and it's an entire charter from beginning to end on this side. And then we kind of put lines here so that you can kind of make notes as we go through these. Like I said, the best way to do it, and I'm not going to be running the meetings. Whoever you elect as chair is going to be running the meetings, but my recommendation will be the most orderly way to do this is to start at section 1 and just go through it section by section. So I'd say probably the first homework assignment would be to, between now and the next meeting, is to, and it'll be up to the chair how fast we want to move or how long we want to make our meetings. But let's say the chair says, okay, well, we'll do Article 1 next time. So everybody look that over, see what's there, and you may have questions about it too. And leading into it, it's like, well, this section says, okay, right here, extraterritorial powers. What does that mean? Get a handle on what it is. Obviously before you change something, you should know what it is. So if you have questions, I'll be at every meeting. So you can ask questions about what is this currently doing? What's the purpose for this being here? And then going from there. So some things have to be in there. And actually, the charter always talks about the boundaries of the city. Well, that's all stuff that, we're not going to change with a vote. So some things just have to stay, but in other areas, you kind of look it over, then we come to the meeting, you discuss, come up with ideas, and then we'll draft language for you to review at the next one. If you hadn't looked yet, you'll see that we have a short timeline because we have to have the work of this committee done no later than, is it June 1st? Because then council needs to do an ordinance, which means 2 meetings for them, and in order to get it to the supervisor of elections on time, in order to make it to the ballot. So there is, and that's why we gave you the timeline as to how we need to proceed. So anyway, any questions as far as how this procedure will work and everything? Also, you all don't hesitate at all to call here if you have questions, in between meetings or whatever. Don't hesitate to call. And if I'm here, I'll take your call. If I'm not here, I'll call you back. But this is an important thing. It's important work that you guys will be doing, and so definitely want to be at your access. So, okay. No questions? Okay. So then, the first order of business, I guess it'd be the second order of business, because is that we do need to elect a chair and a vice chair according to the now it doesn't say how to do that. So the recommendation would be that anybody wants to nominate somebody else, or if anyone wants to self-nominate, say I'd be interested. There is kind of 2 ways we could do it. We could either do chair first and then do the whole process the second time for vice chair, or we could do it one time around and the highest vote getter becomes chair and the second highest vote getter is vice chair. So, it's really kind of, if you guys have an opinion one way or the other, if you want to do them separate or you want to do them together. Do them separate? We'll do them separate. That's not a problem. So what we're going to do in order to, we're going to give you all a little piece of paper, I guess 2 each for chair and then vice chair, if we have that many. And now the one thing that, don't laugh at me, this is the law, okay? This is not me making this stuff up. But I'm going to need you guys to write your name at the top of this piece of paper. and then write who you're voting for when we get to that point, because the clerk will keep those, because secret ballots are not allowed in Florida because of the Sunshine Law, and public records and everything. So you aren't allowed to have secret ballots. Now, we don't have to disclose them here. We don't have to say them on television, but they do have to be retained by, with Ben? Oh.
Well, we can, I say, let's see if we have a consensus.
Yeah, if it's, yeah.
And then if we need him to break the tie, we'll have him
Okay,
break the tie.
all right. Okay, so, yes.
I don't know most of the people here. How do I?
You know what? You bring up a very good point. Why don't we, and this might sound a little high school, but why don't we go around and everybody introduce themselves and kind of your background and everything? And at that time, if you want to serve as a chair or vice chair, you can express that. So does that sound good to everybody? Go ahead and, okay. Who wants to start this way? You want to start? Okay. I knew I'd get you up to the table eventually.
All right. My name's Nicholas Jaskowski. I'm a 20-year resident of Sebastian.
All right, thank you.
That's it. I am Susan LaRusso. I'm a 25-year resident of Sebastian. I serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I was a city employee for 13 years.
I'm Bill Flynn. I've been a resident of Sebastian for 40 years, and I'm here to help.
I'm Richard Gilmore, and we moved here in '04, so I guess it makes it 25 years. I've been a resident here, was mayor, and served on the city council 10 years ago.
All right, red light's on. I'm Scott Libertor. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I did 27 years law enforcement, 5 years with Department of Corrections, 22 with the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. I've been a resident of Indian River County for about 15, 16 years and moved to Sebastian about 4 years ago.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Felicia Holloman. I've been a resident of Sebastian for about 8 years now. I'm an assistant city attorney with Fort Pierce. I've never been involved with our local government, though, and before that, I was with the state attorney's office for 10 years as a prosecutor.
Good afternoon, guys. Sorry, good evening. I just switched from night shift, so I've been a resident. My name is Techpreet Singh. I've been a resident for about 22 years here, local graduate with the police department for over 10. Just starting to kind of get, this is brand new to me, so I'm learning a lot, but excited to see, I just want to gain my knowledge too, so.
I am Sharon Herman. I've only lived here in Sebastian about 6 years as a permanent resident, but my parents built here in '96, so I've been coming to Sebastian anywhere from 2 to 5 times a year since then to see them. I try and stay active with the city. I've got several grandkids that all just graduated from Sebastian River High School, and it's really a great place, and I'm hoping that I can help.
My name is Jeannie. I don't need that thing. My name is Jeannie Hill. I've been here. Turn it on. My name is Jeannie Hill. I've been here 36 years and pretty much been involved with the city ever since then.
My name is Grace Reed. I lived here throughout the 80s, and then I just returned back to Sebastian in 2019. My background is in compliance auditing and fraud examination. I served on the last charter review, and I'm currently on the Budget Review Advisory Committee.
Hi, I'm Vicki Drumheller, and I've lived in Sebastian since the early 90s. I served on last charter committee. I have been serving on Parks and Recreation for a few years, pretty involved in emailing my city council people about things, and I love Sebastian. I just think that this is the place to be. Even when I vacation, there's nothing like coming home to Sebastian. So I look forward to serving on this committee again.
Good evening. My name's Dave Moore. I'm a 21-year veteran of the U.S. Coast Guard. I've spent the last 3 decades in various roles with Brevard County government, City of Palm Bay, and currently with the City of Sebastian. Of all of those, City of Sebastian rocks compared to the rest of those, just so you guys know. Volunteered for this because I want to serve my community and my city, and I've been here for coming up on 4 years now.
Tim, do you want to introduce yourself on Zoom?
Absolutely. Good evening. This is Tim Borden. Sorry I can't be with you guys tonight. We're on winter break and we're doing some traveling with the kids before they go back to school. But I've been a resident of Sebastian since I was 1 week old. My parents moved from Brooklyn, New York to get out of the cold and the craziness up there. And I've called Sebastian home since. I'm a business owner. I have 3 beautiful children and my wife. We just love it here. And I'm glad to be a part of this body. And hopefully we can put some good change together and put it on the ballot for the voters. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so none of you said you wanted to be chair, by the way. I'm just pointing that out, okay? So we will have to, entertain that now. Anyone want to nominate somebody else or nominate themselves? And yes. If you could, because it doesn't go out over the television if it's not recorded.
I'd like to nominate Vicki Drumheller. I think she's got, just knowing her, she's got excellent focus and time management skills and previous experience in committees and the charter review. I think she'd be excellent.
Okay. Vicki, do you accept that?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to make a recommendation as well, if possible, from Zoom land.
Go ahead, Tim.
I'd like to recommend Richard Gilmore as chair, somebody who's got some experience as previous mayor and understands the charter. I'd like to nominate him.
Do you accept that? Yes. Sure. Okay, great. Any other names? Anyone else? Yes.
I'd like to nominate Grace Reed.
Okay. Do you accept? No? Okay.
I'm going to be a chair. I mean a vice chair.
Okay. Okay.
I have a lot of commitments.
All right. No, that's understood. Anybody else want to throw their name in the hat? Okay. What else? Okay, so that leaves us with just 2 candidates. So if you could go ahead and write down your choice, and then we'll collect.
Do we put both names on both papers?
No, so I got 2 papers. One at a time.
Chair first.
Chair.
I forgot to say I was on charter review last time. Got intimidated by all these people.
Okay, so Vicky Drumheller is our chairman. She's got 9 votes and Richard has 5.
All right, so let's go around again. This time we'll do vice chair. Any self-nominations or outside?
I'd like to nominate fellow veteran Dave Moore as vice chairman.
Okay. Oh, do you accept, Dave? Okay,
I'd like to nominate Grace Reed.
Grace, okay. Any other, anybody wants to throw their name in the hat or throw someone else under a bus? Any,
Oh, my goodness.
Anyone? Nope. Okay, so on your next piece of paper, go ahead and write down your choice for vice chair.
My jacket, because I'm not putting it on. You sure?
I have a question. So
Yeah,
do we
go ahead.
pick out of just those 2 or anybody?
No, of the ones that were nominated. Yeah, so
Just
just
those
of
two.
those 2.
What were the names again?
David and Grace.
Yeah, Grace and David.
It's not on. Grace Reed is our vice chair.
Congratulations to both of you. I was remiss in one thing. I'd like to do one last thing, and then I'll turn it over to the chair. I didn't allow our city manager an opportunity to speak. So he's does more than just count up votes. So.
Good evening. Thank you, Jim, for that. Just want to say thank you all for this. It's a very important process for the city. And as Jim mentioned earlier, that he's available at any time. I'm also available at any time. As not a member of the committee, you can speak to me. So if you have questions about anything that you're considering or things within the city in regards to the charter, and honestly, anything going on within the city, feel free to call me, email me, stop by here at City Hall, and I'll be happy to meet with you at any time. But thank you. It's a very important responsibility that you have as a member of this committee. And, you know, I look forward to what comes from the committee and obviously what goes to City Council and ultimately what goes to the voters. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, so there's not much left on the agenda, but it is now
I have a couple
your
questions,
meeting.
though.
Okay.
I'm a question girl. Well, thank you for your confidence in my abilities. We'll see how this goes. And I do want to say I'm also an Army veteran. I was an Army nurse, though. You know what nurses do. Okay, so I think we're now at 4D, which is establish the time and frequency of meetings. And I believe there was a handout given to us with projected dates through April 20. And one of my questions is that we will in April, decide what our next meetings are, or are we going to go through and have them all set? So these are going to be all the, this is all settled, okay. Does anyone have any questions about the meeting dates or any conflicts? Wanda?
Monday, April the 6th is the day after Easter. As far as I know I'm out, with the family and would not be here. I don't know if that matters.
Does anyone else have an issue? I think we're going to have trouble getting everyone here every single meeting, but, and I know that there's a lot of meetings held in chambers also, so I think this reflects around some of those other scheduled meetings too. Grace?
There is a potential that I can't do April 6th or 13th. Look at my husband being here. But there is a potential that I will be out of state.
So what is our ability to make a change? You.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may. Yeah, so the law requires a quorum to be here present, and then, other, beyond that, you be on Zoom. As far as, to your question, this is not set in stone. You are right that Kathy and I went through, because the Chambers is used a lot for a lot of different boards and committees, and so we picked Monday because that's the day that's most open, but even then, there are some days, the budget committee's meeting once, and, and there's others. We stayed away from other days of the week because they're frequently used, like Wednesday is council meeting days, planning and zoning is on Thursday and stuff, but usually only 2 of them. So there is flexibility where if we find we're not getting through the work fast enough, or we need additional days, or we can't make all of these days and we want to move them, we do have that flexibility. This is not set in stone.
So does anyone else have a conflict with April 6th and its relation to Easter? So it looks like we can sit with what we have. Is everyone fine with that? And those of you that are out, you might be able to participate on Zoom, or even possibly send your comments for what we're going to be discussing to this city attorney or the city manager or our interim clerk, and then they can be brought up for you if you aren't able to actively participate. Does that sound like a plan?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Do we need a motion for this? We just go. Okay, so we've got this going for frequency, and we'll move to staff matters. This was one of my questions, modifications from staff. So who is dealing with staff matters? Would that be you, sir?
Yeah, and I think, we've kind of said whatever we need to say at this meeting, but in future meetings, there may be little updates to touch on, but I don't have anything today. Brian, nothing? No. I guess we're good now.
Okay. So in number 6, the other, I just want to roll back a little bit. Is 6 o'clock good for everyone? Does that work? Okay, so.
I've got an issue with one Monday a month. I'm on a finance board at my church. It's 7. So, I don't know.
Can you come and do part of the meeting here? Or can you be here for the beginning of the meeting? Maybe or not?
Maybe half an hour.
Yeah.
In 0.
Better than 0.
Yeah.
Is that several Mondays, Richard?
Well, it's usually the second Monday of the month.
Oh.
But after we get the budget done, we may not meet in March. So I think I might only miss February 10th.
Okay.
Tuesday.
And that's a Tuesday meeting.
Right. So maybe just one in March I might miss.
Okay.
Or only be here for half an hour.
Okay, thank you. Committee member matters. Anyone have anything that they want to share about the committee, about how we get started with this? Nothing for you? Items for next agenda. I think one of the things, there's nothing here, but I think we really need to talk about homework. Because part of getting through this entire charter in a short amount of time is that everyone's going to have an opinion, and there's things that may need to be changed that are going to require extensive discussion. So I think that when we leave each meeting, we should set up what are we going to project for the next meeting so we can be familiar with it before we come. Does anyone have any comments about that? So when we look at the workbook that was given to us, and so those of you that weren't here last time, one of the things is that some of the beginning of this charter is really 50,000-foot view of what's going on, and a lot of it is reading and becoming familiar with the concepts of the charter versus particularly changes. So I don't know if we want to try to get through for the first meeting, to just go through Article 1 through page 7, where we start with City Council. So I think that gives us some time to kind of talk through, even if there's not a lot of changes in that one section, it kind of gives us an opportunity for each to kind of talk about the city and about the overview and some of the things, if there hasn't been changed in a long time, that may need some different language. So if you come prepared with some notes on the side of what type of changes that you think should be made and how you think the city could be better, we can have those discussions and go through it and ask the attorney and the clerk. And Brian, you going to be here too? Not all the time? Sometimes. And if Brian's here, we'll pull him into this conversation also. So let's do Article 1, Creation and Powers, for our first discussion next meeting, which is going to be Tuesday, January 27th. So you have a lot of time. And it's okay if you go ahead.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to kind of scroll through.
May I do something that I was remiss in not saying earlier? And it's good for the first go-around to throw out anything you want to talk about or see change or whatever. Our end product at the end of this, having done this numerous times in numerous places, is that our good target should be not to have maybe more than 6 to 8 changes in this, because if we put in front of the voters 25 referendum questions to change things, there's voter fatigue. And especially, this is going to be in November 26th, this is going to be a midterm ballot, so it's already going to be long, and the city stuff always goes last, and people's attitude is, been fine, I haven't noticed anything wrong, I'm not changing anything, and they'll just go no down the ballot. So whereas if we give them like maybe 6 or 8 questions, it'll be manageable and they can look at that. But that's what the work of this committee will be, because you start out here and then we'll go through it again and again and again until we kind of winnow it down to what's important. Probably the most important, and like I said, mention whatever you want, but if it's like something like, well, this says, roads that border a park, it should say which border a park. Well, we're not going to use a referendum question for that kind of stuff. So, I shouldn't say that. That's up to you. But I wouldn't recommend that. We need to stick with important substantive stuff. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We struggled with that for those that were on the 2021 committee. We ended up with 8, and we were nervous about it because of having voters read 8 different things. And there were a lot of things we didn't really get to discuss because we were very focused on one particular element of the charter last time. And we were very fortunate that council took them up and the voters approved them all too. But this time we don't have that same type of atmosphere in Sebastian. So we kind of get to do some of the things that city clerk talked about last time, and some of the modifications, and I'm sure that our interim attorney will lead us to some of those places that might need to be changed based on state statute changes also. So we have to take those into consideration too. Does anyone have any item that they would like to put on the next agenda? Okay. Wanda, you look like you want to say something.
One of my pet peeves is sewer. If there's going to be any comments on that.
I'm not sure that the charter has, I don't think so. I don't think that's a charter issue. I think that's a whole different story. So basically, and I'm glad you asked that question, because as we go through section by section, we need to focus on that section and then move to the next section. And you will find, if you think there's a place there, put your little note over there and discuss it. I'm not sure that that's something that is a charter issue, but that doesn't mean it's not. Okay, so if we have no more questions, we are adjourned.
Okay.